Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday evening archive speaker meeting. My name is Nick. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Nick.
Can we please have a moment of silence for the alcoholic who still suffers, followed by the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. We ask that you please take a moment to silence your cell phones out of respect for your fellows. And we will also pass the basket in honor of the seventh tradition, which states every AA group ought to be self-supporting, declining outside contributions. Welcome to the Racine Archive Speaker Meeting. Our purpose is to document permanently the work of Alcoholics Anonymous, to make the history of the organization accessible to AA members and other researchers, and to provide context for understanding AA's progression, principles, and traditions. We meet here at the Grove Club the last Sunday of every month. The first half of the meeting is a question and answer period, followed by a break. And then after the break, our speaker resumes with sharing their experience, strength, and hope pertaining to a chosen page from the Big Book. This meeting will be recorded and stored at the Racine Area Central Office. A digital copy will be sent to Area 75 Archives, and it will also be uploaded on YouTube. Is there anyone here in this room with less than 30 days of sobriety? Can you raise your hand? Oh, dark in here, but I don't see anyone. If you are here, welcome. Not to single you out, but just simply to welcome you. Is there anyone here with more than 15 years of sobriety? Can you please raise your hand? Welcome. Thank you. The speakers selected for this meeting are old-timers. An AA old-timer is any member who has been continuously sober for a significant period of time. The definition of significant is open to interpretation, but for the purpose of this meeting, an old-timer is considered anyone with 20 years or more of sobriety. These interviews serve as a representation of the significant impact that long-term sobriety can have on our AA community. And without further ado, I'll introduce our speaker, Darrel S. Please welcome. All right, Darrel, and we have some questions for you.
I'm a bad student, just to get that right off the record.
Well, hopefully they're not too academic then here.
No, I'm just kidding.
What is your sobriety date?
My sobriety date is September, I'm going to say this, my sobriety date, meaning my last drink, September 29th of 2000.
Wow, all right. Can you tell us who was the president of the United States of America when you joined Alcoholics Anonymous?
I can now. I was told that a lot of people have to look this up. I did not know. I was not a voting member of society. I wanted nothing to do with voting at the time, but upon looking it up, it was Mr. Clinton. Yeah.
Well, all right.
Mr. Bill Clinton, I guess.
Bill Clinton.
Not Hillary. Bruce.
When and where was your first contact with Alcoholics Anonymous?
When I was in Racine County Jail after acquiring my fifth OWI as a felon, well, not yet as a felony, but fifth OWI that night, September 29th of 2000. I was in the county jail here in Racine, and my first contact was Dave N. and Kenny J.
Okay.
And they would bring in meetings to that facility, and that was it was an often sought after meeting, because it was not only I didn't know how it was really helping me at the time, but it was something to get me out of the old common thing that I would do up on the Ford floor, and Jerry Springer's show. It's like, I got to get the hell out of here. I got to do something else, man. These people are moving. What are they doing? How do I get down there, do whatever it is these people are doing, moving around? So I asked the question, and that's what started it.
Gotcha. All right. Can you describe what Alcoholics Anonymous was like back then compared to today?
That's an interesting question. Well, back then, in my own experience, as I perceived it, it was a lot of meetings. Back then, it was I started my sobriety out in the streets. I lived across the street over from the Alano Club at what at that time was a Genesis group home from the DOC, and kind of stole my first meeting running over there. And a lot of the meetings back then, as I recall them, were a lot of topic meetings. I don't recall, I didn't go very far from the Alano Club. That was pretty much my home place. I recall pretty much 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day on the Sundays. And there was a lot of just step and topic meetings. I shouldn't say step and topic meetings, scratch that. A lot of topic meetings, and being new and not with a spiritual program behind me, they seemed like a lot of bitch and cry fest. In my experience, probably wrong to a lot of that. There was a lot of mention to work the steps, do a fourth step. I remember one individual kind of pounding that home to me. Darrel, have you done a fourth step? Darrel, do a fourth step? And it's like, yeah, right, yeah. So I pushed off a lot of what I should have been doing, and just went to those meetings, and that's what it was. So part of the question again, what was it like to me then?
Yeah, what would you say Alcoholics Anonymous was like today versus back then?
And then today I kind of consume myself in a lot of meetings that there's topic meetings, but a lot of book reading meetings. There was not, I think there was only one book reading meeting at the Alano Club on Sunday evenings at 8 o'clock. Back then, I think Amo and James Wagner chaired those meetings. I did not go to that one. I didn't really want anything to do with the big book in that sense, that way back then. And I suffered, the spiritual growth as a result of that in that time. But yeah, there was, standing room only. People around the tables, around the walls, a lot of couches back in those days, and the meeting rooms were full of people and full of a lot of smoke, because you could smoke back then. So a lot of newcomers revolving in and out, in and out. The Alano Club seemed to be the first avenue to where people would come in from the county jail or wherever. Today, it's a lot of recommendations to the stronger meetings that are around Racine now. A lot of those are here, the Covenant Group, out at the Benjamin House. Now there's a new, I can't speak of it in the sense of the growth that comes out of that meeting, but it's a large meeting, young people's meeting. It's Saturday at the RACO. So there's a lot of good, strong step working recovery as I see it today, as I'm working it today, versus just going to meetings and kind of sharing some opinions as to what I think recovery is versus what recovery actually is. To me,
Yeah.
from my perspective. Yeah.
Great. All right. What were you like as a newcomer, and how do you think others would describe you as a newcomer?
Well, yes, I was ambitious for recovery. Again, at the Alano Club, struggling with step work, kind of took a different avenue, and got involved with the committee at the Alano Club, was on the board there, and then I got into, this question's going to come up again, I believe, a little bit more detailed, but got involved with a lot of service work Somebody had told me, some people, all they do for recovery is service work. They never actually go through the whole steps or something like that for whatever reason. Maybe that stuck in my head, and then, let's just try that, and see how that works. But I was ambitious and eager, and also I liked to cook a lot back then. I rode my bike a lot back then, and people looked up to me for doing things around the club and events and stuff like that. So I was pretty outgoing, fun guy. Also, kind of, Darrell, you think too much, So I was I guess you would say, an overthinker. Thought way too much rather than just take it for the better sense of saying it for granted. Trust other people what they say. Had to think it out. So yeah.
All right. Who was your first sponsor, and how did you end up with them?
My first sponsor was Carl, and I was going to look in my meditation book. I still have that. I want to say Carl K. I am not sure to the last name anymore, but I got him. I believe it was the first day I walked into the Alamo Club. Could have been the second. And what I heard around the tables is you ask a sponsor, you go up to them, see somebody you like, and you ask them to be your sponsor. And that's pretty much how I did that. So, yeah, went up to them and asked them.
All right. Who were the alcoholics prominent in your early sobriety?
Well, I would say way back then, it was Carl, which is why I chose him. He seemed like a guy that had his, level-headed guy, spoke of comfortably and freely with his understanding of God. Karen A., remember Karen, the hat lady, Karen? She was always a focal and inspiration around my beginning days of recovery. And Dick K. I didn't come around the Grove Club much at all, if at all, in my first probably 8 years. I did some service work through the district coming here, but other than that, I really didn't come around. I didn't branch out much. I pretty much shelled myself in the Alano Club, and we would go out and about out of Racine, but there was a lot of older people, John, Amo, there's another John, boy, I can't even remember some of their names. Art, yes. Yeah. I wish I could say he was inspirational. He was the one that was telling me, Darrell, why don't you just work the steps? Darrell, do an inventory. Have you done an inventory? I didn't like that. I didn't like that person telling me what to do. And it's something that I knew I should have done, and that's obviously why I didn't like him. I view him much differently today. But back then in my beginning recovery, those were much of the people. And I want to mention another person that's in this room now, Dave L. And I looked up to him until he told me some truths about me in my actions and hurt me and offended me. So much so I took my key and I put it in an envelope and I gave my resignation. I said, here you guys go, not a very good spiritual way of recovery back then, which all got me to points different in my recovery. But then later on, as I got into a more active working sobriety, Darrell Manchester was one of the guys, gentlemen, that was inspirational. John K. And as time goes on, it's not necessarily old timers that inspire me or instrumental in my recovery. There's a individual that has been around a while and would come in, get some things going on, and for whatever reason decide to go back out, come in, go out, and I didn't necessarily judge him in that. Just kept seeing him and coming back, and for whatever reason, there was a trust that was built between us. Who I'm speaking of is Davey P. And when times would get tough, he was one of the first people that I would call. Something not going right in my life, or partner's situation or whatever, and my head's not right. Hey man, and he just was one of the people that I ended up calling, and there's others, but those were people that were instrumental. I can learn from somebody new just as much as somebody old, so I always try to keep my mind open and willing to that very idea that we learn from the best of them, and we will learn from, so much to say, from the worst of them. Not saying that he's the worst. He's got some really good recovery going on right now, so very proud of that man. So.
Awesome. Okay. Can you think of any AA catchphrases that you heard like back when you started in your recovery that you don't hear as often or at all today? And if you can't think of any of them, what they mean to you?
First one is KISS. I had to think about that for a little while. It's like, catchphrase, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And that was spoke across the tables often back in the day. When I can apply that idea, like when my head's getting squirrely, that can help me to get out of that overthinking mode, of overthinking character that I can so much portray. It helps, I thought it was kind of redundant and stupid back in the days, but it has a lot of meaning, a lot of sense to it now. I guess not a whole lot of them come to mind, other than I don't know. Back then, a lot of times people would always mention, because there was so many newcomers coming around all the time, the serenity prayer. I always resort back to that serenity prayer. Start your day out with serenity prayer, and it's mentioned today around the tables and in the sharings, but not in a sense of giving this to somebody new and utilizing this as a everyday start of the day catchphrase, so to say. Yeah, I'm sure there's more. It's just not coming to my thoughts right now.
Understood. All right. Did you get, well, you mentioned this a little bit, so it sounds like you did get involved in service early on. And what did you do for service? Could you elaborate on that?
I did get involved in service. I got involved in service in the club atmosphere. Not AA in the sense, but still catering to the AA community. I was on the board there at the L&O Club. I don't know if I moved around, but I know at one time I got nominated for the president. I don't know, is that what they call it now over there or something like that? I lost to Dick Kay. Yeah, I was around there for doing service for, I believe, not 4 years in my beginning recovery. And through that, it allowed me the acknowledgement that I had something to offer, and it was kind of rewarding being of service to people in a different way. I started getting involved with service to the, I guess I would say I was probably a GSR first to a group. I think this question's going to come up, but I got involved with service in the district. I don't know if I got involved first at RACO and then that sprung off to service in a group, or if I got involved in a group that got me to the district, and then the district opened me up to the RACO service positions there. So I held many positions within service work in the AA community at the district level, at the group level, and then at the intergroup level. RACO was GSR. At the district level, I was a corrections chair. I got nominated to do the chair there for district, and by guilt of omission, not knowing I hadn't worked the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, I had guilt that how can I be chair to the district and I haven't even worked the steps yet, so I declined that. At RACO, I was co-chair, I was chair, I think I might have been some other position prior to accepting a co-chair. Then I would, I worked the reins down to chair, and also was involved with Tri-County Conference, from hospitality to co-chair to chair to some other service positions there as well, meeting coordinators. So I did a lot of service work within my realms of my walks in recovery. So I'm very grateful for a lot of that stuff. A lot of that stuff kept me to the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, but a lot of that stuff meaning the service work positions in regards to Alcoholics Anonymous kept me tethered to the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous long enough that it opened up my eyes that I needed to do something, and I needed to do something now or I'm going to drink, and that got me to a point of asking a sponsor and actually start working the steps. So that was some 8 years in and around Alcoholics Anonymous. So I don't recommend that to anybody. It's a very painful and emotionally upheavaling experience, but take it from me, man, it's not the best way to go about one's recovery in a spiritual sense. So.
All right. What kind of events or sober social activities were there when you got sober, and can you tell us what those were like?
Yeah, first 8 years around the Alano Club, they had their usual Memorial Day cookout. I got asked to do some stuff for their, that goes on still nowadays, and I got asked to do some cooking for, they have a St. Patty's Day event that happens, and I made some stuffed cabbage and stuffed peppers, and then for like, I don't know, what seemed like 10 years afterwards, they always invited me back to continue making that for them, and those were always good social events that drew in a lot of people within the community, and that's how I got to know a lot of people outside of the walls of the Alano Club itself, because people from the Grove Club and other areas would come in enjoy the event as it was going on. I believe I was involved with Tri-County back then. Yes, I was, because I was with Dick Kay as my sponsor, and that's what got me into Tri-County. So there was Tri-County events doing that, stuff like that. I would go out and about to other outlying areas, other districts, and partake in some of the social events within their fellowships as well. But a lot of it, as I remember, for the first many years when couches were all the way around the front and back rooms of the Alamo Club, mainly in the front room. You had the meetings before the meetings, then you had the meeting, then you had the meetings after the meetings. And sometimes, those meetings would go on until 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and there would be a group of people that would just stay after the meetings, drink coffee and smoke cigarettes. You could smoke in the clubs back then, and we would have, those sharings, those more personal, intimate sharings that would go on almost every night after a meeting. Meetings back then were 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know that they had any notice. I think it was mainly 10 o'clock and 8 o'clock meetings Monday through Friday, and a little different on the weekend, but yeah. Oh, and then bingo. We did bingo every Saturday night after the 8 o'clock. We did bingo until, 12 o'clock? 12 o'clock, something like that. I mean, tired coffee eyes. So that's what happened in my early days of recovery.
Okay, all right. Final question, and we'll go on break. What do you remember most about the first time you sponsored someone?
I thought about that. I don't know or recall, may have sponsored some gentlemen in my first 8 years around AA. I guess I probably realized I didn't have much to offer. Unless it was service work related stuff or something like that. Maybe I sponsored within the idea of service work. I don't want to say I'm sure I did, because the truth is I really don't know. However, after I started working the steps with the sponsor, I recently lost Darrel Manchester, and it was time to start sponsoring. The first one I remember sponsoring was a gentleman that was, he came up to me and asked me if I would sponsor him because he liked what he had to hear. I remember it was at the Covenant group, and he was kind of like surprised and shocked, like, oh, really? Something good comes out of this mouth, but I'm not to judge that, right? He reminded me a lot of me, way overthinker, fearful and afraid of everything. And I worked with him for, God, I would say, a better part of 3 years or so, until he just drifted off somewhere else. Not saying he drank, he just drifted off somewhere else and found a different way to walk. And I learned a lot about me in the sense of sponsoring and my idea of God. How do I express that? How do I show up with that? And how do I bring about the idea that you need to find your own God? I can't be that. And and then I still struggle with this today with sharing, displaying what the big book has to offer, not what I think I have to offer in the sense of fixing your problems. I'm horrible at thinking I can fix other people's problems when the truth is I can't fix my own, so how do I think I'm going to fix somebody else's? So with that, I'm pretty good with that. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Darrell. We are going to go on a 10-minute break, and then Darrell is going to be back to share his thoughts on a passage from the Big Book.
All right.
So thank you again, Darrell.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. We are going to welcome back up Darrell, and he is going to turn to a page from the Big Book and share his experience, strength, and hope on it. Please welcome back up Darrell.
Hi, I'm Darrell, and I'm still an alcoholic. I'd like to thank Sam for approaching me and asking me to be an archives speaker. I don't normally like speaking. For a while back in the not so far past, a few of us in our little group would be going around being asked to speak and share experience, strength, and hope out and about and all over the place. And I guess I lost my fear of sharing my experience, strength, and hope across the podium. But yeah, it's like I hear all these speakers coming up here to be asked to share on the archives meetings, like, oh, like, what the F, man? What about me? You know, Christ, you know, why not, you know? The truth is I really don't want to speak, but there's my ego, right? I want this idea of recognition, but I'm afraid to do. Once I get there, I'm a shaking, trembling, scared leaf, right? But the truth is, all I need to do is just share my experience, strength, and hope, and not fabricate it into what I would like it to be versus what it really is. So, yeah, very grateful to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous today, this fellowship here in this community, a very good, strong community of recovery. What came to mind, I don't have any very certain pages or phrases within the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, but what comes to mind comes from chapter 4, We Agnostics, something that was fact and pertinent in my walk in recovery. And it was, I guess I would say probably somewhere in the between the 8th and 9th year around this deal, and made right with my sister and most of my family members, and my sister was helping me out. Keep in mind that I stole my sister's car, I stole her money, and all these kinds of childish things that I needed to do to feed my ego and my recovery, or not recovery, sorry, my addiction, alcoholism, and didn't think twice of it. And fast forward some years around this deal, she's invited me to come out to her house in Arizona. I'm a twin sister. She's my twin. I'm 3 minutes older than she is, so I just want to give a little timeline there and who and what she is in regards to me and my insidiousness of disease. I didn't ever think I could be, a good person, let alone accepted and loved back by family members. I was a pretty shitty brother, and a pretty shitty son, in my perspective, right? My perspective. I went out to visit her in some years of recovery, and she just gave me her keys to her BMW, and I had a license at that time already, and I was like, holy shit, you're going to give me your BMW, this dude that stole your car, and didn't think twice of it. And then my older brother came out and proceeded to give me a good whooping. struggling around this deal with this whole God idea, and it was leading to where this took place. She helped me to get a house. I had the option to buy it, fix it up any way I wanted to. She would front the money to it, and I could do whatever I want with it. And we would sit down and write out a deal on how I would pay her back, of course, with interest and all that. And built it up. It was really nice and really neat, and something that was rewarding in my recovery. And she was okay with whatever I wanted to do with it. In regards to, am I going to be able to afford that in the house payment? And sitting in my kitchen on the half wall, and the big book was sitting there, and I just, irritable, restless, and discontented. I couldn't tell you exactly why, other than, not being spiritually fit. Opened the big book up, and right there to that page, page 53, line stood out to me. When we became alcoholics, crushed by self-imposed crisis, we could not postpone or evade. We had to fearlessly face the proposition that God either is everything or he is nothing. God either is or he isn't. What was our choice, my choice at that time, at that night, that day, in that place, in that kitchen to be? And I couldn't answer that question. I could not answer it one way or another. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck, all this stuff, everything everybody's doing for me. My family members, AA group, the people that I served in all those service positions that I had mentioned. A lot of that was, a lot of ego and a lot of pride, and in the wrong way, and I couldn't answer that question. And the reason I point this out is because I wanted a God that I could identify with. I could see that all this, not that life was really even bad right there at that time, that moment, but I could see that I was not relying upon some God, some creation, something else outside of myself. And I wanted to be able to answer that question either one way or the other. And I just couldn't. And I took that question, that very idea, to a group. I believe it was at RACO, and I presented it. And I says, man, I'm just struggling. I don't know what to do here. And fast forward some time. I got Darrel as my sponsor, Darrel M as my sponsor, and I still struggle with this idea of identifying. This idea of God as I understand him. And up to that point, my truth is I never did any substantial work, any step work prior to anything other than 1 and 2, 3, I knew I was powerless. I knew my life was unmanageable, or at least I had this idea. I could come to believe that I could do some things, but somebody else, I don't know. You guys would tell me some things, and if I felt I could do it, I could do it. If I didn't trust in it, then I think I'll just do what I think I know. And Darrel could see through a lot of that stuff, or so it seemed. And he had asked me a question through our sponsorship as I would go into his mechanic shop after work for a long time. Every day after work, I would just go there because I didn't have a relationship. And it was pretty much on my own at that time, and I could pretty much flex my time to wherever I needed to flex it after work. And I was kind of broken and beat up and trying to do this deal, and he was patient enough to guide me along the way. And he asked me a question. He says, as I came in like I usually do, and he says, I would like for you as he would sit with his feet up on his desk with his big old glasses looking over him, I would like for you to explain to me your definition of God. You got 5 minutes, go. Like, okay, wow. And it was a bunch of, a lot of venomous, regret and judgment and confusion. A lot of it was what I thought you told me I needed to believe, how I needed to believe it. A lot of that old religious beliefs, catechism stuff, and it was nothing in the context of a finding of my own understanding, meaning doing the work to find a God of my understanding, and the work meaning, fourth step, fifth step, sixth step, seventh step, and how he helped me through that was about a minute and a half he recited what he had believed he heard, and came up with a conclusion that here's what I think I hear. You actually have no God of your own understanding. That sound accurate? Question back to me. And again, I'm, at this question. This is, yeah, sounds about accurate. And with that new understanding, that I had no understanding, I could now start a basis of developing and understanding. And I was scared. I was trembling, but I was also relieved. I was relieved at that point that what I was basing all my life's decisions in the idea of God were now out in the clear. And I could start now developing this new understanding. Because I really wanted one. I wanted something. I could see, obviously, the reason I got Darrel as my sponsor, because some, self-imposed crisis at work, and flipped my phone, and there you are, you're the guy, and we had a talk, and we proceeded to develop a relationship, and with that understanding, that new understanding, he kind of sidelined me 2 and into 3, and he says, why don't we go on this journey? Let's go on this journey and let's see what you find. If you don't find nothing, you don't find nothing. That's all right. But are you willing to go do this journey? Let's do this journey and I'll go with you. I said, you go with me? I was like, wow. For whatever reason, that made the difference that day, and I was willing to then start the next steps forward. And we said the third step prayer. We actually got on our knees, said the third step prayer, and he proceeded to explain some things. And he says, well, now, with that all done, you know what comes next. Dumbfounded, deer looking in, headlights in the eyes. No, I believe you're going to tell me. He says, I need you to write a fourth step. Would you write a fourth step? Yeah, I can start doing that. And begrudgingly and, overthinking it, of course, as I shared prior, still difficult to practice KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And it took me a year, 2 tries to finally succeed in doing that. And then we sat down for a 9-hour conversation in the 5th step, and I got to share some things as he shared some things, and I got to realize that, I'm not unique and I'm not alone in this world of what I think I do and how bad I think and feel I am. It was exhausting, but it was also relieving, kind of just in the idea of doing that. For the first 9-10 years around this deal, I was so afraid of telling somebody putting down on paper, what I already knew. I mean, I already knew it. It was all up here, right? But it was disconnected from here. That, if I share this stuff for some reason, I'm not a useful, I'm not a respectable member of society, let alone individual that somebody even want to hang around with, because that was just my judgments of how I viewed other people of that sort, and I didn't realize that, we all have our walks and we all do our things, and who am I to judge anybody else's wrongs worse or better than my own? That was that was where my recovery really started taking off. Through the patience and understanding of an individual that acquired a grace to look at people, myself, individually, not differently, but individually, to say, the big book lays out how we're to sponsor, how we're supposed to work with others. I get that. And for Darrel to acquire the spiritual awareness that he received, that he worked for, and then to share that with me in that way was life-changing. And I'm so thankful for that man. Dearly missed. I struggled today with connecting with the sponsor I chose. As I had mentioned in one of the questions, I picked an individual of the first two contacts in recovery, my first AA meeting, and I just had this difficulty of connecting with him, and I'd like to say I know it's me. I don't judge him for not participating in a relationship. I mean, I'm the one that asked him. We had some conversations, started doing the 4-step and got, probably 7/8 of it done. It's just, I don't have this connection, and maybe it's because I'm basing it on a level of my past sponsor and this individual, and I got some guidance in that, and maybe it's just lingering in my head, and I don't know. But I know that the steps through that I went with Darrel Manchester and what he brought about within me in recovery, finding a God of my understanding. And I would go to him with my struggles of my understanding of God, and it seemed like I was afraid to go up to, or to have a conversation with him about my frustrations or struggles or lack of understanding or new understandings. And he says, well, does it always have to be the same? Should it not be ever changing? Yeah. And then he helped me to understand too, if I have a full and uninterrupted understanding of God, which it also explains in both books that I'm incapable of doing or having, then that means only one thing, and that I am my God then again. And it's like, oh, okay, so there's nothing wrong with seeking, continuing to seek a new or better, stronger understanding of God as I understand him, it, or and I'm grateful for those conversations, that he didn't judge me right or wrong or different with those thoughts, those ideas, that they were tangible as long as I took action in regards to them. I guess, long story, that's in a long, thick nutshell why I chose that phrase out of that page, out of that chapter of the big book as something meaningful to me. That'll pass. Thanks for having me.